Vincenzo's Gold Crypto Investing. Bell notification, like the channel, subscribe and share to get that education and information you need to fleece, heist, and shiest the propagandist machine, the criminal gangsters that have infiltrated the United States government and world banking system around the world. Hit that bell notification and subscribe and comment down below. And as we take a quick look at Seattle is dying, coming out of Como News, ABC4, probably out of Seattle, and they're going to throw out nonsense and plausible deniability when they go on here and show the homelessness, the poverty, uh, the crime, the home invasions, the carjackings, and out of control drugs on the streets. They're acting like they don't understand how this happened, why this happened, or where this came from, and it's a joke. And just take a quick listen.
Let me ask you something. What if Seattle is dying and we don't even know it? This story is about a seething...
Well, let me ask you this quick question, Mr. News Narrator. How could you not see this coming? And what do you mean if Seattle is dying and you don't even know it? Seattle is dead and you're just now waking up to the fact that progressive policies of empathy and helping everybody, and the victims are now criminals, are now victims, and victims are now criminals, and drugs are legal for everybody. City and state passes out needles and gives the homeless and drug addicts and criminals housing, a revolving door out of prison, crimes being decriminalized, drugs being decriminalized, home invasions not being prosecuted. And then you have, and city ordinances not being followed or enforced, and you wonder how this happened, why this happened, when this happened, and how bad it's going to get. And you still act like and pretend that you don't understand how this happened. This happened stemming from the state and local governments and spread out. The city council, the mayor, and the governor of Washington, and the mayor and city council of Seattle have caused this problem, just like San Francisco, just like Portland, Oregon, just like Los Angeles, San Diego, San Jose, Chicago, Illinois, New York City, and amongst others. It was all started and it was all intentional by the socialist, uh, as they call it, progressive liberals that have brought you into equality. And the secret that they hide from you about equality for all is what they mean by equality for all is you all have the equal right of equality to be homeless and poor and to live in poverty. That's what they mean, these liberals and progressives. And we need to understand and have empathy, and everybody is equal and equality for all. This is what they really mean. But then these same corporate media, paid propagandists from the state, on what we call the feedback loop, they put out the propaganda that they don't understand what happened or why it's happening or what they can do to get by and to fix this.
Anger that is now boiling over into outrage. It is about people who have felt compassion, yes, but who no longer feel safe, no longer feel like they are heard, no longer feel protected. It is about loss.
How can they feel protected when the police are not allowed to police because the politicians have decriminalized being a criminal and criminalized being a free citizen and a law-abiding citizen, where drugs are rampant, feces are on the streets, garbage is everywhere, and homeless housing has taken over neighborhoods, and neighborhoods are not being allowed to sweep away the homelessness. The politicians, the local governments, the city council, and the governor of the state have said, we're just going to throw more money to give more drugs to these people, to make more pop-up drug centers where they can go in and get clean needles to shoot up and get high with and dispose on the street while they take shits on the streets, intimidate, scare, and rob the citizens and the residents in the neighborhoods, as the neighborhoods and the neighbors have become prisoners in their own cities and towns, as you need to move out of these horrible cities and these horribly run cities with their policies that are meant to impoverish, bring up crime, and drag down and bring a proud city to its knees and become a cesspool of filth, drugs, and crime.
Souls who wander our streets, untethered to home or family or reality, chasing a drug which in turn chases them. It is a
And then in turn, the state and local governments and federal governments chase the drugs and chase the homelessness, as it's a vicious cycle that if you're homeless, you're on drugs, you are a victim. And if you're a victim, you need the government. Let's take a look at some of these fantastic stats on how they do not prosecute criminals in Seattle, and that is driving the problem.
A report received is when police file a report of a case requesting that the city attorney's office file charges on behalf of the city. Back in 2006, for every 100 reports received, 25 of them didn't get filed. How times have changed. In 2016, the latest data we have.
So in 2006, only 25% did not get filed. Fast forward 10 years later, 46% or nearly 50% of crimes are not prosecuted or filed.
For every 100 police reports, 46 of them, almost twice as many, didn't get filed. Nothing happened at all. They were completely ignored. Of the remaining,
nearly 50% of criminals committing crime in Seattle are let go, not arrested, no charges filed, free to go to do it again. And you wonder, Como News 4, ABC, how this is happening. It's very easy. Call out the politicians and call out the city congressmen, city council, senators and congressmen and ladies, and mayors and governors on this horrible policy of decriminalizing drugs, decriminalizing crime with drugs, making it to where we tent off cities and allow Seattle and Portland, like Portland did during COVID, allow them to literally kick police out of whole city and then take up umbrage with criminals taking up the law enforcement and burning buildings down, rioting, looting, destroying private property, public property, businesses and housing alike. And you allowed it to happen for months in these cities, and you're wondering what's going on.
54 of the original 100, one-third of them were then outright dismissed, thrown out. Another third were listed as other, with no resolution. So only 18 of the original 100 reports filed by police actually result in convictions.
In other words, 82% of the criminals that the police are writing up and saying we need to prosecute, 82% of them are not prosecuted. As of 2016, if you fast forward to 2023, it's probably 4% are prosecuted.
18. And of those 18 convictions after plea deals and lenient sentences, very few cases end up with anyone really being held accountable. Those are 2016 numbers. We have no reason to believe the trends haven't continued since then.
You would be correct, Mr. Como News 4. They just let go. It's strictly let go. And all these people are left to deal with it, and city leaders and city council, they sit there in city council when they're being berated and grilled by the public. They sit there and laugh at them. You get people like this guy.
You can get out of here.
Berge spit on them.
Don't spit.
Spitting on the cops on camera, and 4 police officers are unable to do anything because this guy, this guy in the trash right there, this trash guy, this homeless guy, this menace, this scumbag, this sleazeball, and this slimeball, and this useless person in society knows and talks in this video, watch this video, how he is above the law, he has beat the law, and he feels he can never be arrested again for all these crimes that he commits. Spitting at cops, robbing people, using drugs on the streets, defecating, and all kinds of other nonsense.
Fought them.
Hey, no biting. Don't bite yourself either.
Stand up, Travis. We're going to the gurney. Here's the gurney.
Biting the cops doesn't matter. It used to be assault on a police officer. Now it's nothing. Now the cops get in trouble for saying the guy bit them, and the cops get in trouble for trying to get this guy out of a trash can while being spit at and bitten at. And the cops will be said you're using unruly and unnecessary and draconian force by dragging this man out of a trash can while at the same time he's spitting at you and biting you and trying to harm you, right? It's a joke. And Seattle's going to continue to be a joke. And the rest of these liberal propagandists, equality, progressive type scumbag socialist, you're going to continue to get Chicago, Illinois, you're going to continue to get Portland, Oregon, You're going to continue to get Seattle, Los Angeles, uh, Miami, Detroit, New York City, Cleveland, Ohio, Toledo, and the rest of these cities that were once proud that are now cesspools, all run by the same leftist, progressive, socialist policies and blaming and dragging down capitalism and using propaganda to get the citizens in those cities and states to throw away and go out on an all-out assault on freedom, capital, uh, and free markets, and begging for socialism, government control of everything, and socialized everything. And you see what it gets you. It brings Detroit into the shitter. It brings the whole state of California into the shithouse, into a third world country. It brings Seattle and Portland that were once beautiful, wealthy, gorgeous cities are now worse than third world countries and are, for all intents and purposes, non-livable. That's what you get. San Francisco, they spend millions of dollars a year cleaning human shit off the streets and public sidewalks. All these once proud cities are now garbage. Oakland, California, San Diego, a cesspool. San Jose is a cesspool. All these cities, Detroit, cesspool. It used to be a beautiful, gorgeous city. Chicago used to be prosperous, cesspools. And this will continue to be cesspools the same way as the Bitcoin price will continue to be affected by this propaganda and this government feedback loop of criminals in Washington driving down and forcibly turning the United States into a third world, poor, homeless, poverty-ridden country with high crime and high drug use. And that's all been by design and will continue to be by design unless you, yes, you, the people, wake the fuck up. But the Bitcoin price is still straggling. It's trying to hold the 200-day moving average. And what you're going to get this week is a big drop below the 200 in the daily. And you're coming all the way back down to this blue trading zone between 16,000 and 19,000 and change into this area to try to hold some last line of major support before you would try to breach the 2022 low over here at about, let me get that out of here, over here at about 15,000 and change, which coincides, of course, that fucking is right on there, which coincides beautifully with the bottom part of the 2022 low at about 15,375. If you broke that, you'd come back down to the orange trading zone at 11,640, and that's a major support level right here, because if you break that, we're going to start to come into these big lows that I feel are going to eventually take place and eventually hit. I must have deleted that somewhere. I used to have something written down there, but that will be the last line of support before we really start to break down. It could get deep into this last line of defense and even the shit house down here below 10,000. So we're going to watch out for that. If you're trying to get bullish and need this to get bullish and continue this massive 100% rally that we were on, you hold support at these moving averages, either where you're at now in the blue at the 100 or in the green at the 50. Then you got to break back into this red trading zone and fight your way up to the $39,211. The same thing with the old Ethereum. We bounced and double topped up here. We call that as a major resistance zone. And now what we're watching out for is to see if this comes all the way back down and comes back to the $1,296 or even all the way back to the 2022 low, sitting down here at about $1,080. Actually, I think you got even lower than that. No, about $1,080. And if you can try to hold support where you're at now, as we clean up this chart a little bit, if you can try to hold support where you're at now, you can try to hold this. You see where you're on this medium right in the middle of the VP volume indicator in red. It's going to try to bounce because it's coming from above, and you're on the moving averages and this major horizontal support. If you can bounce off that, you could try to make another run back up here towards 2,000, or you're going to start to get chopped down and rejected at the top part of this red trading zone, dumped to the bottom part right by where the 200-day moving average is over here at $1,682. And this is where you would need to hold in the medium range, because if you dump this, you're coming all the way back down into here, which is about the 1,300 range, which is the last area where you had some major support down here. And that'd be an area you would look to get support, or you're going to come all the way back down for full lateral flush down here to 1,000 and change, which was the 2022 swing low, and we'll mark that with a horizontal ray right there that would be your swing low, and that would be what we're watching out for if you can't hold the area that you're at now, and then you break the VP volume indicator in green, and you breach the 1682.54, and you come all the way back down, and that's what we're going to watch. The same with Algorand, and then a little XRP love to end this update as we wait for the market to open a little bit later on. I am in the Bloomington metropolitan area again after a 6-month departure. But right now we got supported on those on the longer term moving averages in the daily time frame, and now we're charging above it, and we're either going to hit this 51 cents if we get up that high and get rejected and then come all the way back down to the 37 cents, or we're going to push our way back through, try to hold that 51 cents and push through a double top, and then try to work our way up to 68 cents. So option 1 is a massive double top that comes back and eventually breaks the neckline and comes back towards the 29 cents. Or option 2 is after some trading between 51 cents and the moving averages, you can bust up, hold support on a back test, fly through that double top, and try to come up to 68 cents. Like, subscribe, and share. Peace and love.